infinite, incomprehensible. This goes back to the beginning of creation. He's Lord of the universe. As we know, in the Hindu pantheon, he is Narayana, the preserver. Jagataranatha, Lord of the universe.
Tell us a little bit about the origins of Jagannath. Let's start from the very beginning.
The story goes that there was an ancient king.
There are certain unique features about this Chaturdha Murti. His eyes, Chakadola, we call it, the round eyes. The eyes don't even have eyelashes, so it doesn't even close. It is the gaze of the divine where you are met but not measured, where you are seen but not judged, right?
Eyes of Lord Jagannath are the sun and the moon. The name itself, Lord of the universe, Jagataranatha, signifies his all-encompassing nature and his connection with the cosmos.
Why is Jagannath relevant today to people who did not grow up in Odisha?
I think the Jagannath temple is the only place in the world where later the Lord appears in his dream again and tells the king, this is the form that I want to be worshipped in. This is my form, the finite and the infinite coming together.
Hello and namaste. I'm Nivedita Ganapathi, the host of the Vid Veda Vedanta podcast. This podcast seeks to bridge the sacred with the secular and bringing the timeless Vedic wisdom to the modern mind. My guest today is Panchami Manoo Ukil, who is the vice chairperson of the DM Wisdom Tree Global School in Bhubaneswar, Odisha. Manu is an educator, author, translator, wildlife photographer, a very active promoter of Odisha's rich cultural heritage, cuisine, and handlooms. Manu regularly writes features and travelogues and is a speaker across multiple forums. She has authored 2 books on Lord Jagannath, Mahagopanore Mahabahu, which is the secret sojourns of Lord Jagannath, and Jagannath Sanskruti, and has also translated an original Odia work on Lord Jagannath to English titled Bijay Pratima. So today's topic is rediscovering Jagannath, the Lord of the universe, for our times. So we will, Manu and I will discuss and talk about the sacred, the symbolic, and the social dimensions of Lord Jagannath in today's world, and how we can draw strength from Jagannath worship during periods of personal chaos, transition, and death. And of course, why is Jagannath relevant today to people who did not grow up in Orissa, who have not visited, and yet this is what Jagannath worship is. What Hinduism is to all religion, Jagannath worship is to Hinduism. In that, it embodies the Rig Veda principle, Ekam Sat Bahuda Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. The truth is one, but it is expressed in different ways. So, without further ado, I will invite Manu to tell us a little bit about the origins of Jagannath. Let's start from the very beginning.
Jai Shri Jagannath Mahaprabhu.
Jai Jagannath.
Thank you, Nivedita, Nita, for having me over. I have been admiringly watching the work that you're doing. And I think in these times of strife and stress that the world is going through, the work that you're doing certainly helps us in the process of recentering. I think we all need to, look inwards and just, find ourselves in the midst of chaos. And you are enabling that so beautifully over the past so many years. So a lot of admiration and appreciation for that, Nita.
Thank you.
So Jagannath, Jagataranatha, I would first like to start with a Khyama Yachana, which is surrendering myself at the feet of the Lord of the universe. I don't think I have the confidence, the competence, and the purity of spirit and consciousness to even speak about the Lord of the universe. I am just a tiny, minuscule part of this vast energy, which is Lord Jagannath. And I'm here to just share my experiences as a devotee. I really don't have that much of knowledge to speak about the Lord, but I will certainly do my best to share so that more people come into this beautiful sacred fold of Lord Jagannath.
Yes.
So he's
Yes.
Lord of the universe. Jagataranatha, Lord of the universe, infinite, incomprehensible. And since you have asked me about the origin, I will share what I have heard about the origin and a little bit that I have read. So
Right.
this goes back to the beginning of creation. Lord Jagannath is believed to have existed at the beginning of creation. And as we know, in the Hindu pantheon, he is Narayana, the preserver. And the story goes that there was an ancient king, King Indradyumna of Malwa, and he was a great devotee of Lord Narayana, and he used to cry to Lord Narayana saying that, I want to have your vision. So Lord Narayan appeared in his dream and told him that, look, in my original form, I am in the Nilgiri hills, in Niladri, and I am worshipped there as a log of wood by the tribal king Vishwabasu. And I'm worshipped in secrecy in the middle of a forest. Adjacent to this forest is the Rohini Kunda or the Rohini tank, the sacred tank. So if you must see me, you will have to go to Niladri and have my vision. So King Indradyumna was delighted, but then obviously they had no other directions excepting these few hints. So he sent his emissary, his minister Vidyapati, to go to Niladri. So Vidyapati sets out, and after many days, many days, and many months, he finally reaches Niladri mountains and he asks the people, where can I find the Lord Narayan? And no one tells him everything. I mean, no one tells him anything. And then he befriends some of the tribals who then convey to him that Lord Neelamadhava is being worshipped in secrecy by the tribal king Vishwabasu, and none of us know where it is. So then what he does is he befriends the tribal chieftain's daughter Lalita. They fall in love, and then he requests Lalita to take him to see Nilamadhava. Lalita tells him that I cannot do that because we are all sworn to secrecy. But since now that you're my husband, all I can do is that I can take you blindfolded so that you will not know the route to Nilamadhava. And there I will open the blindfold and you can have a glimpse of the Lord. So, what Vidyapati does is he carries mustard seeds and he sprinkles them on the way as they are walking to Nilamadhava. Then they return and then he goes back. He returns after several months to see that the mustard seeds have sprouted. And that is how he recognizes the route to Nilamadhava. He goes there quietly in the middle of the night, picks up Nilamadhava, and takes him away with him to Malwa. So Vishwavasu and his entire clan, the next morning, they're heartbroken. But then the Lord appears to Vishwavasu in his dream and tells him that this is what I have ordained. This was my period of service in your share, as your share, but now I need to be taken and worshipped by Indradyumna. So then Nilamadhava reaches Lord Indradyumna in Malwa, his queen Gundicha. They start wondering, now that he has come, how do we carve him into the form of Narayana? Because this is just a log of wood. Again, the Lord appears in his dream and tells him that there will be an old man coming to you tomorrow morning, and just do what he says. The next morning, sure enough, appears an old man who tells them that I am the carpenter. I need to be secluded with this log of wood inside a room. Unless and until I open the door, none of you should open the door. So he has come with his implements. They so he's locked inside the room with the log of wood, and all they can hear every day is the sound of the tools, of the working tools. the little knocks on the wood. And they know that work is going on. One fine day, they're not able to hear anything. So the Queen Gundicha, she keeps pressing her ear onto the door every day to, be like, she's very worried. This old man, he's not eating anything. There's no food given to him. What's exactly happening? Is he alive? And then she doesn't hear any noise. So then she begs the king, and the king, in all reluctance, he can't say no because he's also equally worried that, like what's happened. They break the door open and they find the Chaturdha Murti, the half completed idols of Lord Balabhadra, Goddess Subhadra, Lord Jagannath, and Sri Sudarshan. And the old man has disappeared. Later, the Lord appears in his dream again in a dream and tells the king, "This is the form that I want to be worshipped in. This is my form, the finite and the infinite coming together." And he who had gone there as the carpenter was the divine carpenter, and he was sent by me. Therefore, please worship me in the form that you have found me. So, this is the story of the origin of
Yes.
the, yes, of
Yes,
Lord
beautiful. So you narrated it
Jagannath's
so
coming.
beautiful. We all grew up listening to that story, and it's just
Yes,
lost. And I'm so glad that you sort of explained it so beautifully. So that brings us to the cosmic symbolism of the Chaturdha Murti, because this is unique, and it is like you said, the formless in a form. And there are certain unique features about this Chaturdha Murti. And of course, we have so many things to talk about, but I just want to briefly touch upon the fact that when you are talking about any ardent devotee of Lord Jagannath, there are basic thing is his eyes, Chakadola, we call it, the round eyes,
yes,
which talks about the witness consciousness to the modern world, who is interested in quantum physics and the the witness principle. We're talking about the eyes don't even have eyelashes, so it doesn't even close, and it is the gaze of the divine, where you are met but not measured, where you are seen but not judged, right? And then
absolutely.
this concept of you just have wooden stumps for arms, you don't have any arms. And that, to me, the Vedic concept of the Brahman, the formless one, it doesn't have hands, because hands mean signify to do something. It is doing everything. So what will it do? It is a projection of the infinite consciousness. There's nothing to do. And that is, and all the doing is being done by the Vishwarupa, like this in Gita, that all the eyes and all the arms are the people and the beings that are there. So the Lord doesn't do anything. Akarta, abhokta. And then the legs, he doesn't have legs. So because the Brahman is everything, everywhere, where will it go? That it needs legs, because it is everything. So it's so beautiful that the Vedic concepts have somehow been beautifully portrayed here. And the other thing I want to discuss with you, just the uniqueness, because this is a coexistence of many contradictions. Like I said in the beginning, what Hinduism is to the world, Jagannath culture is to Hinduism. So here we have coexistence of the highest form of Brahmanical worship with the tantric, tribal, Buddhist, Jain practices, right? So, can you talk a little bit about that, where these things come together, how these different practices that were prevalent in Orissa have come together in the Jagannath worship?
So, it's a, I think the Jagannath temple is the only place in the world where you have five religions on the same platform. We see Lord Balabhadra as Rudra, the
Yes.
Shaivite. We see Goddess Subhadra as the embodiment of Shakti, the feminine energy, and we see Lord Jagannath as the as Narayana, the preserver, Lord Vishnu. We are seeing Lord Sudarshan as Bhaskara, Surya, sun worship. And then there is Lord Madhava, who represents Ganapathi. So, nowhere else in the world on the same platform we see five different sects coming together and being worshipped together. So, as you said, every sect, every religion identified themselves with the concept of Lord Jagannath. Puri is perhaps the only place in the world which has 175 mathas. Every saint, seeker, seer who came to Puri established a center of learning, of mentoring, of devotion in Puri. So obviously, they identified themselves with Lord Jagannath. So
In fact,
you
it is
talked
one of
about,
the four dhams, right? Jagannath Puri is one of the
yes,
four dhams established by
yes, by
Adi
Adi
Shankaracharya.
Shankaracharya, and it is the dham where the Lord comes to eat, to
Right.
have his meals, right? You talked about the cosmic symbolism. So, we were grown up, I mean, like, we grew up hearing that the eyes of Lord Jagannath are the sun and the moon. And the name itself, Lord of the universe, Jagataranatha, it signifies his all encompassing nature and his connection with the cosmos. He's seen as the source and the manifestation of cosmic energy and the driving force behind creation and existence.
Right.
It is believed that Lord Jagannath is the night sun, Lord Balabhadra is the day sun, and Goddess Subhadra is the early morning sun, the feminine energy. That, when the feminine energy shines on you, you grow. So it's the morning sun that sort of enlivens existence. So she is regarded as the morning sun. In the Vedic hymns, Lord Jagannath is referred to as Purushottama. So, when you talk about the cosmic symbolism, I think everything centers around Lord Jagannath. He is representative of the Navagrahas, the 9 planets. And the Ratha Jatra is also a symbolic journey of the soul, of the human soul, from the from the material world to spiritual liberation. So I think this sort of sums up the cosmic significance of Lord Jagannath. There's much, much more, but
Yeah.
this is what I'm sort of identifying, that probably this is how we can say that there is this cosmic, symbolism to Lord
Yes.
Jagannath.
And also, there are stories. Of course, we won't be able to delve into all of them. That Lord Krishna, after he finished his avatara, he chose to reside in Iladri in the form of Jagannath, right? And that the
Yes,
Padartha that is inside Lord Jagannath is actually Krishna's heart, and there's a story that is has been continuing from Dwapara
yes,
Yuga till now, at least at the very. And
yes,
talking
yes,
about,
yes, yes.
yeah, and in talking about the uniqueness, I don't think any other temple in the world, or where the actual established deities don't come out of the once they are established. Only Chalanti Pratima comes out. Here, the Lord, the actual huge, enormous murtis come out to meet their devotees. And and also the fact that the Nobokoleboro, which we will talk, I want to talk about it in detail later on, that in the world of Jagannath, I mean, in the realm of Jagannath, there is death. So it talks, there's so many symbolic significance to that. But before we jump there, you mentioned something, that Devi, Subhadra, it is unique that in this temple, then everything is unique in this temple. Subhadra represents Devi. They don't specifically say whether she's Lakshmi or Parvati or Saraswati, and she's, bookended by Rudra, which is Balabhadra, and version of Shiva, and Jagannath. Now, why is the Devi in the middle? Because normally with Shiva would be Parvati, with Vishnu would be Lakshmi. So, what is your understanding of why the Devi is in the middle between Shiva and Vishnu?
Okay, Nita, now if you look at it in a purely mundane way, she's the sister and she's seated between the two elder brothers. She's protected by them. That's
Yeah.
purely mundane.
Yeah.
But then Subhadrika is the embodiment of Shakti, which is the divine feminine power. And this divine feminine power is essential for creation and balance within the cosmos. Why Subhadra is placed in the center is because she symbolizes the concept of Advaita, non duality, where all aspects of existence are interconnected and ultimately one. And Subhadra is the activating force that brings the other two deities to life and allows them to manifest their powers.
Yeah.
So therefore, this embodiment of Shakti, she is the dynamic force. Rudra, he is the saint. You know, he can suddenly become still. Vishnu, he is the preserver.
Yeah.
He is constantly in the mode of preservation, static, preserve. But then who brings dynamism into
Yeah.
creation? It is the feminine power. So she's seated in the middle because she's binding them both. She's Advaita. She says that there is no difference between he who is seated on my left and he who is seated on my right. So she's binding them together, and at the same time, she's also activating them. So
Yeah.
that is my little understanding.
That's the perfect. That's how I understand. Also, she is the, Subhadra. The Devi principle is the womb of the world, and she is the Moola Prakriti, Yoga Maya. She is the kinetic energy. Without her, like you said, she's the gateway between transcendent and the immanent. Transcendent being Lord Shiva, the
Yes,
renunciate, and here is
yes,
Lord Vishnu, the preserving intelligence. So to
yes,
activate them, and they cannot put Lakshman, think about the rishis or the people who envisage this. They cannot put a Devi in the form of a wife because they're two brothers. So what better than to
yes.
have a sister between
And
them?
to have a sister there. Yes,
Yes. So
yes,
she balances the detachment and discipline of Balabhadra and the engagement and compassion of Lord Jagannath. And also,
yes.
again, going back to the Jain element in this worship, they talk about the three, Lord Balabhadra is the Samyak Jnana. So, and my Lord Devi Saraswati is Samyak Karma. Samyak meaning the perfect, perfect jnana, perfect karma, and Lord Jagannath being the Samyak Bhakti, which is the perfect bhakti. So, if you think about it, even in Bhagavad Gita, first is the Sankhya Yoga. First, you must have the jnana
Yes,
of what you are trying to
yes,
achieve, and then the karma,
yes,
then the bhakti, which leads to
yes,
sudarshana, the right
yes,
vision, right?
yes,
So
yes.
beautifully, it has been all planned.
Absolutely, absolutely. The wisdom of our roots is, and it's timeless and it's so relevant.
It's so relevant. So now, of course, I can, now that I have your attention, and I love the way you explain the rituals. And Jagannath Puri is the epitome of rituals. And rituals, are so important in today's world where we are overstimulated modern lives. We need to reclaim rhythm, release and retreat. So please, tell us about the. Let's talk about the Rath Yatra because that is the most unique. Of course, there are many, many rituals associated. They say there are 13 rituals in 12 months, but let's start with the whole Rath Yatra. Everybody is so curious. We just are in the, last phase of it. How does it start and how does it end? Just if you can quickly walk us through the rituals.
Okay, so we are on the last day of the Rath Yatra festivities. Today is Niladri Bijay, where like it's the homecoming of the Lord. So the Rath Yatra process starts on Snana Purnima, Dev Snan Purnima, the day on which the lords actually come out of the temple of the Sri Mandir, and they are bathed with 108 pots of water because it's summertime, they're feeling very hot. So they have this bathing ritual and then they fall ill. So, which is the time of Onasara. So they are ill and then they recover after due medication and treatment by doctors. So they recover. Since they have recovered now, they want to set out on a journey to their Janma Bedi. So they go to the Gundicha temple. So Gundicha temple is known as the Janma Bedi of the Lords because that is where the divine carpenter had actually carved out the idols. And since King Indradyumna and Queen Gundicha did not have any children, they were extremely sad when the Lord decided to go and settle at Niladri, at the Sri Mandir. So while leaving, the Lord tells them that, look, Don't be sad. I promise that every year I will come back to you for a week and spend time with you. So don't feel sad that you don't have children. We are your children. So this is the story behind the Rath Jatra, the Gundicha Jatra. So after Snan Purnima, the lords are in isolation. Then they come out again, and they come out in a ceremony called Pahandi. Nita, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you and see you. So please
Okay.
continue.
Okay. So they come out and they are brought out in a procession called the Pahandi. So Lord Jagannath is known as the Lord of the universe, the Raja the Raj Maharaj. So everything that befits the Lord of the universe in the pomp, the splendor, the devotion, the chanting, it's an electrifying procession when the lords are brought out of the inner chamber of the Sri Mandir onto the chariots. And then of course they're seated in the chariot, and then lakhs and lakhs, this year 25 lakh devotees, they pull the chariots across the Bodadanda, which is the grand road, so to say, and the lords are pulled from the Sri Mandir up to the Gundicha Ghara or the Gundicha temple. The Kathopanishad tells us that the Rath Jatra is symbolic of the human journey. The Rath is the human body, the mind is the charioteer, and the horses are the senses which are running amok all the time. Therefore, we need to deep dive into our inner conscience, our consciousness, and bring him out and seat him within us in the forefront if we want to control our senses and unite with the infinite. So, this is the philosophical symbolism of the Rath Jatra. But otherwise, the Rath Jatra is the most awaited festival for us Odiyas and for all devotees of Lord Jagannath. And the Lord stays in Gundicha Ghara for 7 days, and then there's the return car festival. And this also is interpreted as a period of internal journey where reflection, introspection, where the Lord is trying to tell us that you need to take a break at times from the mundane, from the everyday routine. You need to go and sort of confine yourself to the minimum, and which is what actually happens in the Gundicha Ghara. In the Sri Mandira, we see there are many bhogas, many rituals that are happening, whereas in the Gundicha Ghara, there is stark simplicity. There is only one um, meal that is served to the lords, which is called the Arapa Abhara, and the pomp and splendor is completely missing. It's as if the lords are themselves in a reflective state, and they sort of, there's like it's a state of internal inquiry, and then after 7 days, they are refreshed, rejuvenated, and they're ready to come back to the normal routine. So this is how the Rath Jatra actually pans out.
Yeah, and I just wanted to sort of add because the Snana Purnima, when they have the bath with the 108 kalasas, what happens? The color starts running and you can't see the features. And that is so significant that at some moments, the of pluralities, right? Then all three of them wear the Ganesha mask, right?
Yes, that is the Gajanana Vesha.
And
So,
people in any religion, and so also in Hinduism, we get so caught up in the sampradaya, like the Vaishnavite, the Vaishnavite, the Shakta, and it is a message that yes, we are definitely there. There is a allegiance to a personal God. Ultimately, it's just one energy. That is a significant message sent that you can worship the God or the God in any form you, but ultimately understand there is just one. And then the Onasara also, when the deity falls sick and is hidden away for recovery, I think it's a powerful message to the mind. world that everyone's get off the grid. Okay to fall sick. But in today's world, the go, 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 that's so end to how connected we are. And for like you said, you go and you rejuvenate yourself. So getting off the grid is also a place,
Absolutely.
and a place where during the answer, or the, another beautiful thing that happens is this coexistence predictions when the puritanical brahmanical purusha sukta and highly coordinated worship has to take a back step where the traditional people come back, which is not done in any of the temple to the best of my knowledge. But they eat, sleep with Jagannath because Jagannath is their living relative, Rakata Samparka. So they, when they're sick, they feel sad and they live with Jagannath, they sleep with Jagannath. Oh, they're very good. So this constant back and the where you have the Vedic knowledge exists with practical, I think Vishnu in any form, but especially here in Jagannath. His birth, his childhood, his relationships, his visits, everything is painfully personalized. There is the transcendent Brahman and there is the personal God. So
Absolutely.
much that how can we interact, live in a society, we need rituals. And also the Pohandi, which you said, the grand procession of the deities, it's like walking with the divine. We have completely forgotten in the modern world that, it's the chaos and dust. And if we carry the Lord, even the biggest of loads and burdens can be done. It's so symbolic.
Can be so pleasurable. Yes.
Also that mass of humanity, because in this world you have big houses and big comforts. We have become so lonely, we are so trapped in our own little worlds in this virtual reality that getting together with, like you said, lakhs and lakhs, hundreds of thousands of people all wanting the same thing, the Lord out from the unconscious. Right? So I think it's a wonderful chance for humanity to connect, to come once in a while to have that experience, because this virtual reality is all fine and dandy, but to feel that sweat, the heat, and the joy at the same time, that spiritual ecstasy that they feel, we can't feel that in virtual reality. And the
And the feeling of oneness, Nita, I mean, if you're there in that crowd, you sort of merge into each other. At that time, there are no distinctions, you can just sense it that there is this great oneness. Everyone is looking at the Lord, everyone is loving the Lord, everyone is literally breathing in that electric atmosphere. You lose your sense of identity for that much of time that you're there looking at the Lord.
so the Chera Pohra is such a powerful ritual where the
Democracy.
king
Yes.
as the royal sweeper in front of his ordinary public is a rich lesson of leveling the player field, that in front of the Lord everybody is same. I mean, where
Everyone is.
annually given to everybody in power, that everybody is serving the Lord, and that Amora is such a powerful message there. And also I think the Hera Panchami, I think it's a beautiful today's world, empowerment. When it is said that, many people say that, oh, according to the Hindu this thing, Smriti, this and that, women have a lower role, don't. I mean, look at what Lakshmi can do. First of all, she can goes to doors and say, no, no entry. Persona non grata, you did not take me to your Masi's home. You cannot enter. It's a beautiful ritual of the.
The fact that Goddess Subhadra is seated on the Ratna Singhasan is itself the highest reflection of women's empowerment in our culture, in our tradition.
Exactly.
And then there's Bhudevi and there's Sri Devi also on the Ratna Singhasan. So, it's equal.
Yep.
There's abs-
And like you said, the woman can be the sister and she's sitting there, or the woman can be the wife. So on
yes,
has so much power, and then that ritual of the conflict resolution, where both sides, Jagannath side, the Sevaks and Devadasis from the Lakshmi side, they come and Rasagola exchange. I think it's a big deal that even
and
in the realm of divinities, in the material world, there are mistakes. misunderstandings, there are conflicts, but it can be resolved, So to
Yes, absolutely. And then there are certain, rules that have to be adhered to. Lord Balabhadra tells Lord Jagannath, when they're returning home and Goddess Lakshmi is all fire, and like she tells her husband that you're left without me. You took your sister with you, and like she's all the time ready to like just go out and have a good time with her brothers. She and like you just conveniently forgot me. And then, like when Lord Jagannath hears Lakshmi, saying things about his sister, he gets very angry. And then, he tells Lakshmi that, your eyes are, like not leveled. Tu hello Terry. Terry means, like cockeyed. And how dare you say something to my sister? And that's when Lord Balabhadra intervenes and he says, look, in this house, you cannot say anything to the daughter-in-law of the house. She is the queen of the house, and the rules of the house will be made by her.
Yeah.
Hereafter, if I hear you, Jaga Kaliya, which is Lord Jagannath, if I hear you saying anything disrespectfully to my daughter-in-law, to my bahu, to your wife, I will leave the house. So
Right.
again, the respect for women, women's empowerment, it is just embedded.
And the concept that the house belongs to Gृहिणी. She will control who will enter and who will go. And this,
Yes,
may not be practiced in every household, but
yes,
given that she can close the door on three of them.
yes, yes, absolutely,
But the
absolutely.
all have to wait for her permission to re-enter their own homes.
Exactly, exactly. It is it's a beautiful humanization of the Lord, because that's the only way they could like send out life lessons
Yeah.
to the people.
Yes, and also, the Rath Yatra, when you beautifully said Kathopanishad, the chariot is the body, the horses are the sense organs, the reins are the mind, then you have the intellect sitting there. It is also a beautiful symbolism and allegorical depiction of the tug of war between our ego-driven will and the Lord's will, because the Ratha will move as testify that it can't just be Ratha when and wherever you want. It will move only when it wants to move. It's known to sit there if something goes wrong in the, due to our statistical, whether it is the, administrators or the sevaks or the devotees, sometimes waiting. That is the spiritual game, that you just don't say chop 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 and the universe and the Lord will appear in front of you. So that tug of war also between our ego and the divine will. And there's another thing that I wanted to add here, the concept of Bharata. Bharata, we are called Bharat Varsha because the Bharata, this is the land where the spiritual awakening is the strongest. The desire for moksha is the strongest. And Bharata breaks down to Bharatha. Bha is light and Ratha is the chariot, the body. So the body, the light being the consciousness, to bring the Lord into the Ratha. This is the Bharata Varsha where the Lord has to enter the body, otherwise it's a Shava. It's not Shiva, right?
Yes,
So
absolutely.
that body that is put,
Beautiful.
yes, we have to combine these two, otherwise it's useless. But yeah, that's beautiful festival. So much to talk about. But I want actually spend a little time understanding the Navakalevara, which is unique because no deity, any temple, once it is established, they're either made out of wood or made out of metal or something, but certainly not made out of wood. Express understanding that will decay, die, and it has to be renewed. Beginning.
Impermanence. Basically, the Lord wants to convey the impermanence of the created world through the process of Navakalevara. Everything that has been created has to be has to have an ending.
Our fear of death and decay.
Depth. Absolutely.
The God is saying
That is,
there has to be growth, there has to be stagnation, there has to be decay.
yes. and the concept that the soul is eternal. So, which is why the transference of the Brahma Padartha from the old idols to the new idols. That the
Outside
soul,
is decay done, but the Brahma Padartha, the soul, representing soul, is remaining itself. But can you, if you can just quickly explain to us, how this, which year, I think every 12 or 14
Yoga Ashad, every year in which there are 2 months of Ashad, which is either 12 or 19 years. So this is the year designated for Navakalevara, and it's a long process. And like there is an like there are three parties of servitors which go to the Kakatpur Mangala temple, goddess Mangala temple, and they stay there at night. And that is when goddess Mangala appears in their dream and directs them towards the trees, the daru, sacred daru,
Brahma.
which would be in different places. Then next morning, these servitors they go and they find the trees. It is believed that the trees bear the symbols of Shankha, uh, Chakra, Gada, and Padma. And some trees, yes, and then like the trees would be having an ant hill at the base, and then they like these trees are identified. There is a yagya performed at the site, and then the trees are cut and brought on a sagadi, a bullock cart, to Puri, and then the process of carving the new idols. There are specific servitors. It starts in secret, and then is the night of Navakalevara, when the new idols are finally carved. Then there is the transference of the Brahma Padartha in utmost secrecy. We have heard that in earlier times there used to be a power outage in Puri, so that in pitch darkness the process of the transference of Brahma Padartha would be conducted. And the person who does it, his hands are absolutely cushioned, and he's the person who actually is conveyed uh, in a dream by the Lord that you are supposed to do it this year.
Right.
And he's the person, so the designated like person, his arms are like sort of wrapped in layers of cloth, silk
So he can,
fabric, so that he can't even feel, he will absolutely not know what it is. And then in the middle of the night, in the dead of the night, the transference of the Brahma Padartha is conducted. And then the old idols are taken to Koili Vaikuntha, which is the crematorium or the burial ground inside the Sri Mandira, and they are buried there.
right, right. So this
And
transference is done by the Sabara people, right? Not the Brahmins,
yes,
because
not the Brahmin.
yeah,
Yeah,
while it's so
because
and the coexistence of the contradictions, that the actual birth is a very is given by his Rakta Samparka, his people who identify with him.
yes, yes, they are his brothers.
Yeah,
You ask a Daitapati servitor, how are you related to Lord Jagannath? So they say that he's our brother because when he dies, we perform all the death rituals.
yeah, they follow every single teacher. Whereas when the
Yeah,
actually, in Rath Yatra, all this, what is it called? The after the Snana Punima, all the pains wash away, but the Netrotsava, the Brahmins are called in because the vision is related
yes,
to wisdom, and the wisdom
wisdom, knowledge. Yes, wisdom. Absolutely.
and possession. This is the domain of the tribals who, who grew up with him, and they
Yes,
uh,
yes.
so beautifully the Brahmanical part of Hinduism, whereas the tribal and the tantric and
Bible.
the parts just
Yes.
built so
Yeah.
beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so within the next 12 to 19 years, the actual idols that are buried in that Koili Bankuna, they just dissolve. Is it? I've never asked anybody what happens
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, like they're never dug up. I mean, like obviously, like since they're made of wood, they will disintegrate.
within
So
that.
again, this very fundamental, sustainability aspect.
Yeah.
the fact that these idols are made of wood,
Yeah.
so they will just disintegrate into the soil.
Right, right, right. And that little bit, I want you to talk about a lot of people find criticizing that non-Hindus are not allowed inside the temple. And I want you to talk about the book you wrote, Mahagopanare Mahabhahu, why that temple is protected so much, because what it went through, and yet the Lord never denies his darshan to his devotees. That's why he himself comes out, doesn't send a child.
Comes out.
And that,
Yes. So that has been a dark period of the history, of the Jagannath Sanskriti, when for 1,000 years the temple was being constantly invaded by non-Hindus. So they learned that that Lord Jagannath is the unifying force of the Odia race, and the only way that we can subjugate, dominate this Odia race is by destroying their god, the god who binds them. And succeeding invasions, they could not destroy the Lord, because our brave kings, our brave Paiko warriors, the loyal and devoted servitors, all of them did everything they could to carry the lords away from the Sri Mandir and hide them in various places until the invaders left.
and over a period
So,
of many centuries, right?
yeah, yeah, 1,000 years.
1,000 years. And also,
Yeah,
in your book, Mahagopanare Mahabhav, it's a beautiful book. You've done such a brilliant job.
thank you.
So that the Jagannath Sri Mandira was attacked 18 times, more number of times than Somnath
Yes.
Temple, Gujarat.
Yes,
People are,
yes. And the Sri Mandira was also famed for its great wealth. So a King Kapilendra Deva, who was one of the bravest kings in the history of Kalinga, so he, like when he went to the south and he defeated all the kings, he came back with elephant loads of gold, and he surrendered all that gold before Lord Jagannath, saying that you are the Lord of the universe, you are the king, you are the only king, so you deserve to be decked up in gold. And it is King Kapilendra Deva, like in fact, who started the Sunavesha, the Raja Vesha, where all the gold was used to make ornaments for Lord Jagannath, and they were decorated, you know, uh, 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 decorated with those ornaments, with those gold ornaments. So the fact is that our kings, our servitors, our warriors, they bravely defended the temple, and it is this uh, defensive. Can you
mechan- to
hear me?
protect, I can hear you. So to protect the uh,
Yeah, yeah. So to protect the temple,
desecration and
yeah, like which is why I like to maintain the sanctity, to protect the temple. That non-Hindus are not allowed, but the Lord embraces everyone when He's out on the Rath Jatra, on Snan Purnima, also on the Snan Bedi. There is no discrimination. Everybody is having a glimpse of the Lord, and of course on Rath Jatra, everyone is also allowed to pull the chariots, to
yeah.
hold the ropes and pull the chariots.
So I would like you to narrate. It's one of my favorite stories, and you say it so well. You know, every time, not every time, in the recent, I don't know how many 100 years ago, the Ratha, when it is pulled, before it reaches the Gundicha Mandira, in between somewhere there is a something dedicated to Salobego, one of most ardent devotees who was not he was, his mother was Hindu, father was Muslim or whatever.
Father was a Muslim general,
And he was not
Lal Beg.
allowed, yes, he
Yes,
was not allowed inside the temple. So he would wait every
yes,
just one day in that week to see Lord Jagannath. And once when he was away, how the Ratha did not move. So if you would just quickly tell that story, because I
yes.
listen to it each time.
Yeah, so like he was a young boy and he would hear like stories about Lord Jagannath from his mother. But then he was born a Muslim. So he was not allowed obviously to go into the temple. So like one day when the and he knew that the only day that he could like have a glimpse of the Lord was on the Rath Jatra. So one day he was not well, and he got delayed, and he kept crying out to the Lord that, yeah, like if I don't see you today, then I don't see you for another year. And he kept walking. He had fever, but he wouldn't stop. He kept walking and walking. And here in Puri, Goddess Subhadra's chariot had moved ahead, Lord Balabhadra's chariot had moved ahead, but Lord Jagannath's chariot stopped. And no, and it just wouldn't move an inch until Salbeg came running, crying. And the moment he came and he fell at the wheels of the chariot, pleading to the Lord that, okay, you've waited for me. I have had your darshan. And now people are so tired and they're worried. Lord, please move ahead. And that is when Lord Jagannath's chariot started moving ahead.
Living
And to this day, on the day of Bahuda Jatra, when the Lord is returning from Gundicha Ghara to Sri Mandira, Lord Jagannath's chariot stops at Bhakta Salavega's Samadhi, which is at the exact spot where the Lord's chariot had stopped the first time, waiting for Salveg. So Salveg has been buried there, and Lord Jagannath's Rath stops there unfailingly every year.
right, right. No, such a thank you. It just warms the cockles of my heart when I hear that story. Goosebump time, it's.
Yes.
Can you narrate? I know you visit Jagannath Sri Mandir very often. A personal experience where you felt that you connected, you felt the presence of the Lord.
Nita, it keeps happening all the time. I mean, there are just so many experiences. Nita, we decided to have this art exhibition on the theme of Mahagopanane Mahabahu, the secret sojourns of Lord Jagannath. And so we planned this exhibition, and then while we were planning the exhibition, we had called in some experts on Jagannath Sanskriti to mentor us, to sort of take us through, because it was a mammoth task, never attempted before. So, like it was a thought that sort of just came into my head in the middle of the night. And I sent a message to Pami, your sister, who is the head of the Ilapanda Center for Arts, saying that Pami, this thought has just, like sort of come into my head. I don't know if it's a dream. I don't know if it's a voice in my head, but we must make an attempt to do this. And she, immediately said, yes, just go ahead, but then it's a mammoth task. And I told her that if the Lord wills it, we will surely be able to do it. So, like as I said, we had called in some mentors, and one of them, Dr. Bhaskar Mishra, in the midst of all the discussion that is going on about the exhibition, the art exhibition on Mahagopanar and Mahabahu, he just, sort of thrusts a bundle of papers into my hands and says that you'll have to translate this. And I'm looking at him, there's no time to do the work at hand. And I'm looking at this, like this paper, and it reads Vijay Pratima. And then he says that, this is a work that has been pending for long. And, I have just met you yesterday. Today is the second day that I'm seeing you. But I think you're the only one who can translate this work into English. I said, sir, this is a very thick manuscript. It's going to take time. I'll do it next year. He says, no, you'll have to do it before we do the exhibition. And I was like upset and I was just wondering, but then he's a senior person. I didn't know what to tell him. So I take the manuscript back home that night and I open, like I just flip the pages and I see Durga Madhav. Until then, I had very vague idea about Durga Madhav. I knew that that they go out in a procession during Dashera. I didn't know much, and I had not seen the idol of goddess Durga. So then I was worried. I looked through, like I just sort of flipped through the pages, and I said, like this is written in Odia. How am I ever going to do it? And it's like it's very
Complicated.
literary language. So, and I didn't know, like I had all kinds of doubts. So I just woke up the next morning and I said, let me go to the temple and sort of, seek the grace of the Lord, because this work has been handed over to me by somebody who's so, like he's a renowned figure in Jagannath Sanskriti. He has written 80 books. I have to do justice. So should I or like shouldn't I? Lord, give me a sign. So I walk into the temple. It was Moolashtami, September 24th. And that is the day when Durga Madhav are bound together for the entire duration of Dashera. I go into the sanctum sanctorum, and the person who takes me in, he says, before you go inside, come, I will take you to the Bhandara Ghara, where you will see Durga Mata. I couldn't believe my ears that the page that had opened up the previous night was actually happening right there.
Yeah. And
I
also,
go,
yeah, tell me.
so I go there and I see Durga Madhav tied up together. I listened to the story firsthand from the servitor sitting there. And when he hears that, like, this is what I've come for, I need some sign from the Lord, he takes out a garland from Durga Madhav and he hands it over to me. And then I went to the deities. I went and I prayed there that if I'm supposed to do this, give me the strength to do it well, and like to be able to sort of
Make
not, yeah, not do a very hurried job. I need time. And Nita, in 75 days, that job was done. The book was printed, it was published, and it was inaugurated before we started the final phase of the work for Mahagopanare Mahabahu. So
I
this
can
is just,
my hands on that book. It'll come at the right moment. And also another contradiction and is Durga and Madhava. These are not the
yes,
normal coupling of
yes,
these, you know.
not at all.
In
Yes.
you will see Durga Madhav together. Nowhere.
Yeah, nowhere, nowhere, nowhere.
And the
And that procession, it is, I mean, it's an experience. Every day they go out together and then they come back and they're tied. Like it's called Rundha Ethanti. Both of them are tied together for
yeah.
that period.
So I have two quick questions before we end this podcast. One is, again, talking about contradictions, it is a Vaishnavite temple, but tantric practices. The presiding deity is Bimala. So I'm told that during the Navaratris that there are sacrifices and tantric rituals are followed. Is that true? That the only Vaishnavite temple I think that has tantric practices?
That has, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Practices.
So actually, Neeta, I'll just like take you through like this. There's this very interesting couplet in the Mahanirvana Tantra. Ugratara Shurapani Subhadra Bhuvaneshwari Niladru tu Sakshat Jagannatha Dakshina Kalika. It's a shloka that identifies Lord Balabhadra as Ugratara, Goddess Subhadra as Bhuvaneshwari, and Jagannatha as Dakshina Kalika, all within the context of the Jagannath temple. They're all identified as forms of Shakti. And if you see, all the three deities are draped in saris. So there's this very strong feminine concept also there,
Yeah. I,
that so the there's a very strong tantric influence, and it is said, it is believed that if you stand in front of Goddess Bimala, if you stand in front of Lord Balabhadra, Goddess Subhadra, and Lord Jagannath, any kind of evil tantric practice done on you dissolves. It's just decimated.
yes.
So great is that power.
And Odisha is a very strong Shakti, what should I say,
Yes,
land of Shakti.
absolutely.
And Bimala's is one of the Shakti Pitha as well.
Yes.
So, my final question, of course, is we cannot talk about Lord Jagannath and not talk about Mahaprasada, and he's there to eat. And one of his names is Chappan Bhogi, which I would want you to explain. But before you do that, Chappan is 56, which adds up to 11, right? 5 and 6. And he's the Bhogi. He eats 11 types of Chappan, which adds up to 11 types of Bhoga, which actually translate in Vedic terms to five karma indriyas, five jnana indriyas, and the mind. Whatever
Um,
to the five karma indriyas, five jnana indriyas, and the mind is actually being offered to the Lord. He is the ultimate consumer, which from Bhagavad Gita you say, Brahma Arpana, Brahma Havi, Brahma Agno, that whole mantra is that.
yeah.
I am
Yeah.
consumer of everything. So tell me about the Mahaprasad, and because it's a unique setup and the cooking is unique, and I am told that hundreds of people, thousands of people come and eat, partake of the Mahaprasad every day, and never has anybody been turned away because there was lack, nor has any been wasted and thrown away. Is that true?
Absolutely true. So it is believed that goddess Lakshmi herself cooks the Mahaprasada in the Roshaghara. And Nita, this whole entire temple system, the Sri Mandira, is by itself a huge lesson in management practice. There are 100 different kinds of servitors who have designated duties on every day. Like every day, there are hundreds and hundreds of servitors who are employed for their designated duties. Now, this Mahaprasad, like as you know, the Mahaprasad uses only locally grown produce, in the sense that anything that is imported is not used in the Mahaprasad. Whether it is tomatoes, whether it is potatoes, whether it is chilies, these are not used in the Mahaprasad. So you see what a sterling example it is of vocal for local.
Yeah.
Right? The first lesson, like which the entire world is talking about today.
Yes.
Now, it is said that there is Chappan Bhoga, 56, but it far outnumbers. There are hundreds of dishes being cooked up there every single day, and the main Mahaprasad, which is the rice and the dal and the curries, they're all steamed. So, and they're all cooked in earthen pots. The pots are placed one above the other, and then there's this huge fire over which the pots are placed, and then the entire set of pots is like the food is cooked by the method of slow cooking, which
Steam.
retains all the nourishment. Right. So, again, a lesson in how you should be cooking food to retain the nutrients.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it is said that the fire never goes out. The food is enough to feed anyone and everyone who comes, and whatever is left is turned into nirmalya, which is dry food offering. So it is all like the rice that is left over is dried, and then it is packed into tiny bags so that you can keep it with you, you can preserve it, and you can also gift it to people, and you can carry it. I mean, like, say you're going out of Puri, or say you're going out of Orissa, you're going out of India, you can carry this Mahaprasad with you in the form of Nirmalya.
And
So, and it's a glorious food heritage. The kind of there are two types. There are there are dry food offerings, and then there are of course the wet food offerings or the cooked food offerings. So each and every item that is offered to the Lord is a delicacy, rare blend of spices which we would never hear of in any other cuisine, and delicious absolutely. And like for someone like me, any time is Mahaprasad time.
absolutely, I can attest to that. So, our one parting message to the modern world, because that's what we wanted to explore today, is how Jagannath, the worship, the devotion, the rituals can inspire modern people. You are a teacher, in your school. How can they connect? Why should they connect? And what is a takeaway for them? One message.
Sinita, Lord Jagannath, I would say, is a way of life. Apart from the philosophical, like the aspect and the spiritual aspect, when like this is a very a questioning generation. When our parents told us about Lord Jagannath, we just accepted Lord Jagannath as the head of the family, as our god, and like these are the prescribed rituals that we go through. But this generation will not take anything at face value. They will ask you questions. And as a way of life, Lord Jagannath is of timeless relevance. Like we spoke, there is democracy, there is inclusion, there is women's empowerment, then of course the Dainandina Niti, which is the discipline of a routine, waking up with positivity. Lord Jagannath wakes up to music, to kirtans, he brushes his teeth, he has a bath, and he has his meals on time. Everything is regimented, which so he basically says that unless there is discipline, unless there is focus, you can't be successful. Then there is the duty towards your parents when they go to a Gundicha Ghara once a year, because he's promised his parents that he will come and visit them, he will look after them. The bond between like between the siblings, the strong bond, that there is the sister sitting between the two brothers. They are there protecting her, taking her for outings. So that lovely bond between the siblings. And then, of course, the bickerings that happen, and then, finding solutions. Every family has to go through that, but we have to be solution oriented. That's another great lesson from the Jagannath Sanskriti. Our social relationships, on the way back from the Gundicha Ghara, they're stopping by at their aunt's place to spend some time with her. So what Lord Jagannath tells us again is that, you have to have your social relationships, and of course, leadership. We talked about democracy, we talked about inclusion. Any great leader has to be democratic, and he has to be inclusive. So I think these are the final lessons that are enshrined within the Jagannath Sanskriti, that are timeless, that are relevant, and this is the way Lord Jagannath has to be portrayed to the new generation.
Absolutely beautiful. I mean, in the religious context, there is balance of power between Brahmins and the tribals. In
Yes,
political context, there is the king and the public. There is a balance of power. Then, in the gender, there is the masculine and the feminine. There is a balance. Every which way you look, Jagannath brings, he really balances the contradictions, and that's the best message I think we can take away for today's world, that you can hold on to your own while at the same time accommodating things that do not that are different from your practices in whichever.
absolutely. Yes.
Thank you, Manu. It was a beautiful. I wish I could go on and on, but you have work, and we will, get together again, because there's so many little details which that you can share with the people. And thank you for your time. And
Nita, what I came here as a lay person, and I go back hugely enriched by your perspectives of Lord Jagannath, the way you have explained so beautifully. I think the philosophical, like the part that you describe, with reference to the scriptures and to the philosophies, I go back immensely enriched. Thank you for having me, Nita, and like you said, we will meet again,
thank you.
certainly.
Bye bye.